Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm really happy to show you the beautiful new forest collection from our friends at Stamperia. We have pattern papers, rub-on transfers, and chipboard embellishments. I'm going to move aside our embellishments for right now, and we can take a closer look at the 8x8 paper collection. There are 10 double-faced sheets here, and the inside front and inside back covers, you can see here, are bonus cutout elements. Now let's flip through our design. So you've got pattern papers, which also include some cutouts. So you can see here with the cutouts, they're illustrated on one side with kind of a focal element. Then on the other side, you've got beautiful borders and some nice background touches, but lots of room to do your own personalization. Now, when we're looking at our pattern papers, you'll notice, of course, lots of elements from nature, lots of beautiful collaging in here as well. And then you've also got some really nice scenery here. Here's another sheet with more of those cutouts. And then again, on the other side, you've got room for adding your own touches. I just think this is such a lovely collection of leaves and animal imagery, as well as some collaging. Of course, the botanicals. This makes the girl from Oregon very, very happy. And I can think of lots of people that I would use this for birthday cards and other paper crafting projects. So then again, flipping through here, you've also got some really cool geometric patterns in here as well. You've got some tags. Now on the other side of this, you've got another nice background option. And then here we come to the inside back cover. Now I think with this sheet, you could of course do your fussy cutting, but I think you could also use this as a background. Same with the inside front cover. So you can snip these out. You could also use it as a background in its entirety or snip it apart into sections as well. So there's a lot going on with just our paper pack. Now to go along, we have a set of rub-ons. These are beautiful designs. They're really easy to use. There are instructions on the back, and I will also give you a little demo today on how to apply them. So that's with our rub-on set. And then of course we've got our chipboard embellishments. So I've put everything onto two sheets here so you can really see the different designs. Everything, of course, goes beautifully with the papers and with the rub-ons. So there's 41 chipboard elements in total. And these are a nice, thick, sturdy chipboard. And I really like using them as card focals, either as a singular image or together in a collage. So there's a lot that you can do with these elements as well. And of course, everything is designed to coordinate perfectly to make everything easy to assemble and create cards and other types of paper crafts. I'm really glad that you're here today, and I'm excited to explore the creative possibilities with you. So come play with us. Let's start with our first card here. I really like using the chipboard die cuts as card focals, and I like layering them up to create a collage. So that's what I've done here for the front of my card. I've got lots of layers. I've got chipboard layers. I've also got some layers from the cutouts from the paper pack, and I even have some little touches of metallic gold in there from the Dazzle set that I will show you. So I've got a lot of variety of shapes and sizes in here. I really like this chipboard circle because it creates a perfect base or a foundation for this collage, and it fits perfectly on a 5 by 6.5 inch card blank. So let's take a look at the layering process here, and we can start with the base of our card, which is pattern paper, and then we can work our way up to that chipboard piece. So this is the pattern paper that I used to cover the front of my card, and you can probably notice here the difference in the color between the inked edges of my card project and the uninked color of the patterned paper. So what I did is glued the paper to the front of my card. And when I did that, I made sure to get this top border, but not the side border. So that you've got a border on either edge here. I only wanted the top. So I positioned my blank card right about here, put adhesive on the front of my card, and then simply glued the pattern paper to it and used my scissors to trim around the outside edge. And then I can add some color around the outside edge here with my dye-based ink pads. So that's what I've done. I used two ink colors. I've got Peachy and the Velvet Fawn. Both of these are dye-based ink pads from Hunky Dory. And these are the ones that I go to pretty regularly when I'm adding some color around the outside edge of either cardstock or pattern paper. So I started with the Peachy, and I inked this pretty heavily, and I realized that it was really peachy. It was much peachier than I wanted. Let me show you this with some contrasting cardstock underneath. So it was a bit too yellow for my tastes. So then I decided I'll tone things down, and this is a nice technique to have on hand. If you find that you have over-inked perhaps with one color, or it's maybe too dramatic or too stark of a contrast, you can tone things down by layering another color on top of it. Velvet Fawn is good for this. Lots of the more neutral colors will work really nicely. Now for this, I'm just using a blending brush, and I'm going to dab this into the ink pad and then working into the color. I'm just going to gently burnish this. And I can add as much or as little as I want, but you can see how it's muting back some of that peachy, but it still allows it to kind of glow through there. So of course you can add more if you want more inking on here or darker color. But it's a really nice way to maybe correct some of your initial color if you've decided on something and then it didn't work out quite the way you wanted it to. So that's what I've done around all four sides of my card front, right onto that pattern paper. And I think it creates a really nice glow around the outside edges there. So that's what I've done for the front of the card, and then I've just built my collage on top of this. So I've started with the large circle as my base, and I like this because you've got two different styles on here. So I've got mine going this way. And then I added my 3 cutout pieces here. Well, let me backtrack. Let me show you. This is the sheet that has all of those cutout elements. So these are the 3 that I'm working with here, although, of course, you've got lots of choices on that one sheet. So I've simply cut them out, and I wanted them to go across the center here. But just by putting them down, let's see, I have them overlapping a bit like this. Oops. They weren't looking the way I wanted them to. So let's see, I have them kind of like this. I really wanted to have something that wasn't quite so stark in terms of the line going across there. So I've added in some chipboard leaves. So I didn't add those on at first. I've tucked my leaves under here, and I'm just using my regular Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. And then because I've got some dimension on here, I added my cutouts with foam tape so that they won't kind of crush in the center. So then I've got some more interest going on here, and then I've also added up my Natural Vibes chipboard piece overlapping that. So then if you look at my card front, you'll notice that I've also got another leaf element tucked underneath here, so like this. Now, a couple of tips when creating a collage like this, especially with those chipboard elements. I like to play with the positioning of everything before gluing it down. And so if I'm figuring out where exactly I want those leaves to go, or maybe I want it to go this way, or maybe I want this section of the circle to go up on top, I play with all of those possibilities, and then I take photos with my phone camera. And then I can kind of see which style I like better. So I can play around with it without gluing everything down in place and then having a regret or thinking, ooh, I wish I could move something over just a little bit more. So that's what I recommend, is to sort of experiment before you glue everything down in place. Now I've got foam tape underneath this circle, and that's to allow for some space for this leaf. And then I've got this portion up on foam tape as well. So I've got some additional layers in there too. Then I've also got, of course, this leaf kind of going off one side. I don't have a balance up here at the top. And I really like this, especially for this style of collage, to have things that are maybe a little bit uneven or asymmetrical. And I think it just makes the collage look a bit more organic or natural, which is fitting for today's theme. Now I also have some little swirl dazzles in here, and these are kind of extra pieces. Let me show you. They come on the Script Dazzle sheet. Now this is the silver one. Of course I used gold here, but you can see some of these. You've also got some little hearts tucked in here and some smaller flowers in there as well. I've used pretty much all of my gold ones here though, but I do still have a couple of more little extra accents in there, which is really nice. And then for my card inside, I've used the hello from that Script Dazzle set and placed this onto a cutout from the paper pack. Now this is all pretty simple in here. I do have a rub-on, this little strawberry stalk that's coming into the cutout. That's a rub-on as well as our little dragonfly underneath. So I mentioned how easy the rub-ons are to apply, so let me grab some supplies and we'll have a look. I really love Stamperia's rub-on designs. Not only are they super quality and they're really easy to apply, but they're also just so beautiful. So again, this is another quick look at the set that we have today, and as you can see, you've got lots of small accent elements here, lots of little leaves and then the berries, but you also have some really nice large focal elements like this foliage piece here, the bird's nest, and then of course the bird on here too. We've got two little birds actually. All of the instructions are on the back side in a couple of different languages, but it's so simple to do. Let me just give you a quick demo. Now the only thing you're going to need to have on hand is a bone folder so that you can do your burnishing. So what I've done here is simply trimmed out using scissors one of the elements from the rub-on set, and I'm keeping both the top layer and the liner together when I trim that out, and then I can separate them when I'm ready to do the application. So I'm just going to pop this down here. I'm taking care not to touch the back of the rub-on with my finger because it can come off, and I'm just going to place this down here. I like to leave a little corner folded up so that I have something to grab onto, because once this is down, it's down pretty nicely, so it's nice and secure. Then I'm just going to use my bone folder to burnish this in place. So the bone folder has a tip to it. I'm not going in with a pointy tip, but rather along that edge. And just easy, gentle, but firm pressure on here. You want to make sure that you're getting all of the outside edges as well as that center section. And then I'm just going to lift this up gently, slowly, in case I need to put it back down if anything hasn't transferred. But there we go. So I'm all set, and I have another really nice accent piece on this cutout. So the nice thing, especially with some of these smaller pieces that you've got on today's rub-on set, is that you can add some really nice small touches in that blend in with the rest of the background of your pattern paper, the cardstock. So that's how simple it is to add a rub-on to your paper. And for this card, I've got this large nest image, which is right here. And this is just part of my background on this cutout from the paper pack. So it adds a really nice extra layer and image on here. Super fun and very easy to do. So then on top I have 2 flower chipboard pieces and 3 leaf accent pieces from the chipboard set. So these 2 leaves here and 1 down at the bottom. Now you'll also notice I've got some additional leaf accents right here and here. These are from the Floral Luxury Chipboard set from Hot Off the Press. So let me show you this set here. So this is something very different. It's got a similar theme to our forest theme, but it has a very different style. These are really fun accents to add into a collage. They're a different weight, they're a different style than our Stamperia chipboard, and I think it adds a nice bit of variety here. Now you can also alter these. So I'm going to flip this over and you can see, of course, there's a project idea on the back, and it looks like Lene used some tri-blend markers to color the chipboard because the chipboard comes as this kind of neutral color here. I'm going to use my ink pads to alter these, and this is of course another really simple technique to do. Okay, bring in a few things here. So what I recommend with this is if you can trim out your chipboard piece to still have some of this edge around here because that just gives you something to hold on to. I'm going to pop this down here. I'm using 2 different ink pads for this. I've got my peachy color, and then I've also got my Delicata, which is a pigment, a metallic pigment gold. Let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to start with the peachy color and hold on to one edge here. And I'm just going to press this right down onto that chipboard piece. You can start with some light pressure and then add more, just depending on how intense you want that color to be, and get some all over coverage on there. And then I'm going to come in with my metallic gold, the Delicata, and I'm going to do exactly the same. So I'm just going to press this on here, kind of give a little bit of a twist or some added pressure if I need to, and make sure that I've got some nice even coverage. This is going to give me more of that beautiful warm kind of halo effect, but it also will give me lots of nice subtle metallic shimmer on there. Then all I need to do is just let this dry. Of course, because I've got the pigment ink on there, I need to give it a little bit more time than just with the dye-based inks, and then kind of pop this out from the backing piece. I don't want to yank on it without being able to handle it too well, but you can see how that will come out from here. And then I can add this to my project. So that's what I've done with the 2 leaf elements. Let me show you those here. So I've got one here and then this little guy over here as well. And those are just tucked underneath my other chipboard pieces. So again, some variety in style, in texture, and in color too. So then I've got everything layered up onto this square cutout from the paper pack. And then the rest of my card is really just this beautiful collaged pattern background paper, which I trimmed down slightly smaller than the front of my card. I inked around the outside edges with velvet fawn to give a nice dark edge, and then glued it to the front of my card. And then I've got a script dazzle down here at the bottom and a little bow that I've tied in some jute twine. Then for the card inside, I have more of this gorgeous pattern paper, plus another inked chipboard piece and another dazzle that says "With Love." For this card, I once again layered some chipboard to create a focal, and this time I kept it really simple and just glued the bird circle on top of this cool mandala style image. So quick and easy to do. I love this bird image and I really wanted to add it as a focal for one of my projects today. And I really like how the scalloped edge here creates a nice frame and adds some extra presence to our circular image. And that's just simply added onto the front of my card. Now the front of my card is covered with a beautiful sage green cardstock. And this is coming from the Hidden Animals cardstock pack. It's this beautiful light green over here. All of these colors worked really nicely with today's webisode and of course go beautifully for so many different card themes. So I've simply covered the front of my card with that sage green, and then I added this geometric style patterned paper on top. So here's the sheet that I used. And this is the reason I chose the sage green, because of this one little leaf here. I just thought that was such a pretty element, and I wanted to pull that out from the rest of the earth tones in the overall design. Now, when I trimmed this down, I also inked around the outside edges with Velvet Fawn to give a little bit of contrast between those two colors. And then I've got my layered focal up on top. I also have a little sentiment down here, another chipboard, and this sentiment below from French translates to I have a dream, which I think is just a really nice message to have on any card theme. And then I've got a little jute twine bow for a touch of softness. So that's the front of my card. And then for the card inside, I have something really fun. So I've got a layered style of pop-up here. And this is called a zigzag pop-up. And of course, it comes courtesy of cutting die. So let's take a look at this. This is a new to me die, and I think it's a lot of fun. I love it when it's just one piece. It's so quick and easy to do. Now, of course, hot off the press will always include project ideas on here. And then when I flip over the storage folder, you can see more illustrations. You've also got some written instructions and, very important, your folding diagram as well as your gluing diagram, I suppose. So those red lines on there are the extra sticky tape. And this is just to show you where that should be positioned. And extra sticky tape is really recommended for this because it's going to hold everything together really nicely. So once you've got that, all you need to do is just grab your die and simply run this through your die cutting machine with your cardstock or paper. And what I like about this, of course, it will give you the outside cut edges as well as any cut edges on the inside, but you also get all of your folding and scoring marks on here too. So you don't have to do any additional measuring to find out where the areas are to score and fold. So once you've die cut this from your cardstock, you'll have a piece that looks like this. So then just follow along the diagram instructions to do your mountain folds, which are the peaks, and your valley folds, which are the peaks that go down, I suppose. Fold those all up. I really do recommend creasing those score lines with your bone folder, the same one you used for your rub-ons, and then you're ready to go. So on this piece, I've already got my extra sticky tape on the back here so you can see where all of those lines are going to go. And the areas that are going to pop up, of course, don't have any adhesive on them. So fold this up, give it a nice crease with the bone folder, and then I'm ready to add it to the inside of my card. So when I do this, I want to make sure that I'm working with 3/4 of an inch from the fold, the inside fold of the card. So I just mark that with a pencil and then remove the liner from that extra sticky tape from one side of the zigzag pop-up. Position this so it's right up along a 3/4 inch difference from the fold and place it down. Make sure that's nicely in place, and then remove the liner from this side, and I'll just kind of hold it together and crease it down. And then when this is open, my pop-up will be like this. So it's super simple to do. Just want to make sure that you've got one side down before you do the other side. I recommend not undoing all of the liners from all of that tape until you are ready to glue. That way it'll keep everything from sticking to everything else where you don't want it to go. So again, here's my inside, and I've die cut this from more of that beautiful sage green. I've also added in some gold straight line dazzles here, and these are really useful for adding just a bit of shine to the card. And then I've got more of the cutouts in here as well. I've got 2 of the bird rub-ons, so the little one up here and the larger one down here. I've also got the strawberries or the berries coming off here. That's another rub-on. And then I've got a cutout here as well as another chipboard flower and more of those little dazzle swirls in there too. It's super easy and a lot of fun, I think, to make and also to receive. Okay, I have one more project to show you, and that's using another of my favorite dies, the tag in a bag. I love a tag in a bag project, and I know I am not the only one. I know there are a lot of tag in a bag fans out there, because not only can you really experiment with lots of different pattern papers, cardstock, as well as embellishments, you can create something really fun and personal for the recipient. And if you're someone who gives a lot of gift cards or gift certificates, that bag is really the perfect place to kind of tuck those in and make a nice presentation. So that's what I've done here with our beautiful pattern papers. I've added some chipboard, a rub-on, and of course some dazzles on there. So let me show you the die that I'm working with. Of course, tag in a bag. You've got two dies in the envelope. So you've got your bag and you've got your tag. Simply run those through your die cutting machine with your cardstock or paper of choice, and you're ready to go. I wanted to show you with my bag on here, especially when you're working with a collage pattern paper like this one, that you can really position the die and figure out which section you want to have showing on the front of your bag. So I knew that I wanted it to say Flower of Life, and I also wanted that bird on there. So it's worth taking just a few extra minutes to kind of play with the positioning of your die before you tape it down and run it through your die cutting machine. Now also, when you're working with double-sided pattern papers, do have a quick look at what's on the other side of your pattern paper that you're using for the bag, because the reverse side will show up here at the top. So just something to keep in mind before you cut. So here for my bag, I've just used this beautiful pattern paper, which I've inked with peachy ink around the outside edges. And all I did for the front was to glue on two chipboard leaves and then a little bow, which I've cut from the jute twine set. Now this is one of my favorites, and of course it works beautifully with the nature theme of today's forest collection. And I've got on the back side just this folded very simply here. And I've got my bag ready to go. Now for the tag, this is also cut, of course, from pattern paper, two different pattern papers here. And on this kind of faux wood design, I have the beautiful foliage rub-on going right across there. I have my script dazzle sentiment up here at the top. And then I've also got some of those straight line dazzles top and bottom there. I have a sentiment on here, one of the chipboard pieces, that means find your own light. So it's another beautiful message that sounds gorgeous, whether it's in English or in Spanish. And then up at the top, I have the acorn chipboard piece, and the hole here aligns with the hole that will be cut with the tag die. So I've just threaded this through with some more jute twine. And then on the back, I also have another dazzle sticker, plus some more acorns, and I've added some of those leaf rub-ons as accents there as well. So there's my tag, which will fit just right inside my bag here for a very nice presentation. And that is our final project of the day today. So a big thank you to our friends at Stamperia for another beautiful collection, and a special thanks to you for joining me today. We're so glad that you're here, and we're happy you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.